Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the instant match reaction to Everton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. I was not at the game today. I have got COVID. It has finally got me. So I could not get to Goodison Park today, which was slightly surreal. I know a lot of people were dreading being at the game anyway. But yeah, it's always slightly surreal not being at Goodison Park when there's a game on. So yeah. So obviously I watch the game through the lens of TV. So from Malaysia as well. Really interesting halftime reaction with Gary Stevens of Spurs and someone else who I can't even remember because Andy were an ex-Spurs player. That's how bad it was. But anyway, listen, today what I would say is that it was in terms of effort, that's exactly the level of effort that should be there every single week. That level of commitment and that level of drive and wanting to win the game was there today. And you see, listen, there's a lot gets said about, Bobby Zamora, that's who it was, it was awful. A lot gets said about Goodison Park and the atmosphere. And why it can be so quiet at times. Well, it wasn't quiet today, was it? It wasn't quiet when fans see a little bit of drive and a little bit of hunger and a little bit of passion and players looking like they want to run through brick walls. So that's the difference. That's the level. That's what makes people, think, well, if you add Decore back into this team and Dominic Calvert-Lewin back into this team and Mina back into this team, that we've got a half decent team. But that needs to be there. That level of drive needs to be there. Apologies, I'm suddenly getting very, very warm. That has to be there. Because that's what's going to win us these kind of games, and it nearly did today. Because listen, creativity wise, we were pretty poor today. I think both managers had set out the stall to get a point, and for us, it was about stopping the rot. And listen, the manager knows that this is this must be the most traditional time for managers to get sacked. We've seen another one today, Dean Smith, seen Daniel Farke yesterday. This is the time where managers get sacked. And obviously Rafa Benitez going into the Manchester City game, or going into an international weekend for a Manchester City game. If he'd got 4 defeats in a row, that probably would have been to 5, and you as a club, you have to preempt that. But I thought for Everton, no one can be criticised. And obviously he changed the team. He brought, Delph started the game, and Delph was probably man of the match, wasn't he? 2 games in a row he's been man of the match. But he showed you what we've been missing in midfield: a little bit of drive, a little bit of ability to get round the park. He's not a bad player. That's what we've always said. He's not a bad player. His problem is he doesn't get on the pitch, and his reasons for not getting on the pitch are normally pretty mediocre. But he set the stall out, and the team, listen, he still had Gray on the pitch. He played Anthony Gordon, he had Richarlison. He had Townsend playing in a little bit more of a central role. So there was a little bit of creativity on there. The problem is, for me, and this is what the problem is, ultimately, with this squad, never mind the team or criticising anyone, we just haven't got enough good players. And Seamus Coleman is a perfect example. He's a player that you look at and you think to yourself, oh, I remember Seamus Coleman doing this and doing that. But he's 33 and he simply can't get up and down the pitch anymore. He should be the width, and he's not the width. And then what happens then? Then the midfield the wide plays in midfield have to play really wide. Then Richarlison is on his own, and that's the whole thing about this team, is that there's no ability to get men forward in numbers. When we haven't got Decore, we haven't got someone pushing from midfield. Dean's not been getting forward as much. Seamus Coleman doesn't get forward. And as I said, if Seamus Coleman starts playing really wide and getting forward, that allows Anthony Gordon to get really closer to Richarlison. Or on the other side, Dean gets really forward. That allows Gray to get much closer to Richarlison. And otherwise what you find is Richarlison's isolated. I think that's what we saw today. I think that's what we saw the other night. You're trying to get someone closer to Richarlison, but you're also trying to be as, as defensive solid as you can. And I think today what he did was that was the right thing today. It was about stopping the rot and then building off it. And we nearly did. Listen, there's going to be a lot of talk about this penalty. Listen, I watched the game, as I said, and I've seen all the replays. And I've seen it half a dozen times. And I'm not 100% sure who got that ball first, whether it was the goalkeeper or whether it was Richarlison. There's pictures and videos and stuff going round. The goalkeeper, does touch Richarlison's foot. And I don't know whether it was enough. See, I'm literally watching the video now, and the video doesn't. I don't know. It does make it look like that he wraps his hand round Richarlison, and the more I watch it in that angle, the more I think it was probably a penalty. The ball makes a slight movement to the right-hand side. But the mad thing about it was, the ball makes a movement to the right. No VAR, it's a penalty, isn't it? What's mad is, though, the game carried on, and we basically had an open goal, or the goalie was off his line, and the game stopped, and then they get the ball back. So, and as I said, I'm not going to sit here going, that was a nailed-on penalty, because I'm watching it right now, and it's a replay, and it's going over and over and over and over again, and I couldn't honestly tell you whether it was a nailed-on penalty. The problem is with VAR now, it gives everyone an out. The ball looks like it makes a movement, but that might be because Richarlison gets a toe on it, but you can't see it because of the way you're looking from a camera angle behind on the other side of the ball. For all we know, that could have been Richarlison getting a slight touch on it, and that's what pushes it wide. I don't know. The ref has seen the ball move, and he's decided not to give a penalty. In normal speed, as I said, I think it's a penalty all day long. This is the problem with VAR, is the factors are that you can't tell whether Richarlison has got a touch on that ball because the camera can't see his foot. And that's the problem with VAR right there. But we had the ball in the box with the keeper on the ground. And again, this is the madness. This is the madness of VAR, is that it's not given, and then they get the ball given back to them. Like it's their advantage. I don't understand that for the life of me. I really don't. Listen, people will argue all day that was a penalty. I'm looking at it now, and I just see a touch. I just see the ball roll, and I can't say where that roll came from, and that's the problem. And I'm watching it over and over and over and over again. It looks like it might hit the arm just there of Lloris and takes the ball away. I don't know, but it wasn't given, and that was sort of like the thing that needed to happen in the game. There had to be something like that to change the game. And I suppose when we played like Norwich, that was the thing that changed the game, getting a penalty. But the ref was bizarre. There was some bizarre decisions. Very, very bizarre decisions all game. And as I said, second half, I thought we came out and we really had a go with them. We need to start going through the middle, but we can't do that unless we've got the fullbacks really pushing on. And we can't do it with the players we've got, sadly. And that's the top and bottom of it. What we've got to be these are the kind of games that when you play certain teams, that you play like that, you will get opportunities and you'll take them and you'll win the game comfortably. As I said, the Norwich game was like that, the Burnley game. But I think the subs nearly cost us today because ultimately Delph could only... listen, I'm not having a go at Tom Davis. I just thought when Delph went off, we might have just lost a little bit of drive. But when Allen went off and he brought Holgate on, it allowed Spurs a little bit of momentum. And for everyone talking about, it just made me laugh because the commentary team I was listening to, not the commentary team as such, because Gary Weaver's an Evertonian, but it was the narrative that like Spurs were dead unlucky because they had a little go at it in the last 5 minutes, which I thought was bizarre because we dominated most of the half. I mean, you know, Spurs have not had a shot on target today, by the way. They hit the post, which is fine. They hit the post, but they haven't had a shot on target. Harry Kane, non-existent. And the narrative is they were unlucky or they could have done more. But listen, let's just talk about that red card for a minute, Mason Holgate. When I watched them do it, I could see he'd followed through. And then when he took it back, I was like, all right, they'll probably give a free kick for this. And then the more I watched it, I don't know. Sometimes I do wonder where footballers are supposed to put their feet when they clear a ball. When they clear a ball and clear it out, I do wonder where he's supposed to put his feet. But there was like an intent that he was going to take everything. And again, that's something in this day and age that I just don't think you can get away with. I just don't think in this day and age you can get away with stuff like that because of VAR. He gets booked, obviously. But you're just not getting away with that anymore. That's modern football. Listen, did he mean it? I don't know if he meant it. I really don't. But I do wonder where he's supposed to put his foot anyway. Like, because you're going in for a challenge. And I don't know where footballers are supposed to put his feet. What's he supposed to do with his feet there? But it did. When you watch it back on the video and the ref does that, you look at his face and you do look. It does look like there's an intent to take the man as well, and that just put us under the. That just put us not under the cosh. I mean, because really we went down the other end and we had a couple of set pieces. So it was stupid. Now we'll be suspended. Dangerous play. I imagine that'll be. It'll probably be 3 games. I imagine. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it was just stupid, and it's another player we've lost. I don't know the rule. There are some that you just think, what's the point? You know, how can that be a red or that's 100% red? These are the ones that I always wonder, like, where are you supposed to put your feet? But now we've got an opportunity. We've got a couple of weeks, an opportunity to get the Corey back, an opportunity to get Mina back. Not sure if Dom will be back yet. He was at Goodison today, which is always a good sign. Players becoming a bit more public about how far away they are. Obviously, we've got Manchester City to get next game. Obviously, it's going to be very, very difficult. Listen, the game was a draw, wasn't it? It was always going to be a draw. They'll have been looking exactly the same. Get a draw, don't get beat, and we've got 2 weeks now. Got 2 weeks now to plan everything. You don't have the players, but you can get to planning everything. We just need a little bit of creativity. And listen, we looked a little bit better on set. We didn't have to face many. I'm just looking what are the corners. They only actually had 2 corners, and we dealt with them. The second one was absolutely terrible. It was a P-roller. But we can go away now, and this calms everything down a little bit. And there's other clubs out there like Villa and you know, whoever else who've got more pressing stuff going on in terms of sorting managers out and everything. We just had to stop the rot today. But what I would say is, look at the atmosphere in Goodison Park. Look at an angry Goodison Park today. When things are going against us, decisions are going against us, players are putting their all in. You know, Godfrey's running through brick walls. Midfielders are running through brick walls. It makes a difference. It makes a difference to the atmosphere and the general thinking of the fan base. We don't ask for much. What we ask for is commitment and passion and, just not being stupid. And for the most part, we got that today. And that's just got to be the basis. That's got to be the basis for me moving forward, is that kind of commitment, because you can build on that. What you can't build on is like the first half performance against Wolves. You can't build on that. You can't build on, like the last 15 minutes against Watford. You go back to the Watford game and how negative, or not negative, but how sort of quiet and submissive the game was. Watford just went from 0 to 60 in like 1 minute and blitzed us because we weren't up for it. We'd have been up for it like today, and there was something a little bit there. You're gonna get chances. You're gonna get goals with Charlison. Is gonna get opportunities. I think we just sort of we just had a little bit more about us today, where players were clearly wanted to show that they cared. Listen, they can all go away now, and we can come back in 2 weeks, and there'll be a lot. Listen, there'll be a lot of chat about the penalty. There'll be a lot of chat about Mason Holgate. But if the penalty thing is, then whether it was or whether it wasn't, then let's use that. Let's use that, and we're great at sort of taking things that happen against us and trying to use them and push forward. Loads of people will say today we were robbed, and that's in a way that's good, because then that's like, well, we would have won this game if we hadn't been robbed, and see, we were a lot better, and we would have scored, and we would have won, and that can be like a positive, because I'm not saying it hide. The performance was a good base level performance. What we lack was there to be seen today against a Spurs team who were actually not that good as well. But what we lack was clear as day today, which is that creativity. We love to just throw a cross in, but actual playing football in the middle of the park isn't brilliant for us, and we need to get players who can get up and down the pitch. And listen, we've known that for ages. Absolutely known that for ages. A right back who can get up and down. Another Decore type in the middle of the park. It just shows. What's mad is having someone like Delph in the side has took that midfield up by about 20%, and that's slightly. I mean, when I say that, I mean from the certainly from the Wolves' first half performance. But that's slightly embarrassing, isn't it? That's slightly embarrassing that someone like Fabian Delph has to come into the side. That's and give us that. That's slightly embarrassing. And listen, Delph's always had that ability. The problem is he's been, as someone just pointed out in the comments, he has been stealing a living for 2 years, and that's what makes it actually more frustrating when you see him have a game like that. He has been stealing a performance, but they managed them well. They took him off. They made sure they didn't use him too much. He can get 2 weeks rest now and be ready to bottle it against Manchester City. Jenny, listen. I'm not sitting here saying Mason Holgate is anything. I just don't know some at times when you're playing football and you're in it and you're throwing tackles in and you're doing stuff left, right, and centre. I don't know sometimes where footballers are supposed to put their legs when they go for a tackle and they follow through. That I'm not saying that means what Holgate doesn't mean it was a tackle. What I mean is that I just don't know sometimes where they're supposed to put their legs. That's all. Are they supposed to just not make that tackle? Is that what we're saying? If that's what we're saying, then fine. If that's what we're saying, fine. Then don't make the tackle. But I think when you make the tackle, sometimes I don't know where you're supposed to put your leg. Sometimes football is still a contact sport. It's as slight as it is. And I'm not sitting here saying Mason Holgate should or shouldn't be sent off, by the way. I'm just saying that when footballers kick the ball, their legs straighten. The follow through. There will always be a follow through. You're told to follow through. You're coached to follow through because you get more power. But listen, I'm not arguing with anyone. I'm not arguing whether it was a penalty. I'm not arguing whether he should have been sent off. I'm just putting it out. I'm just talking. Yeah. So, and all this talking has made me feel, in the words of Ferris Bueller, all this talking has made me feel a little bit ill. So there you go. But it's done now. We got a draw. Stop the rot. And we'll be back in 2 weeks to play Manchester City. But I'll be back. Oh, see that segue. To do the player ratings. Once my head has stopped spinning. Baz will be back to do his video soon. Yeah, I'm sure. Listen, if I'd been at the game today, I'm sure I'd feel very different about saying about the penalty. Because if I was in the Gladys Street, I would think it was a penalty all day. But I haven't watched them. I haven't watched it lots and lots of times. I'm still not convinced what touched the ball and moved it away. I don't know. Right, I'm going. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. If you want more great videos, join us over on Patreon. There you go. Thanks for watching, and check out all our other videos coming up very shortly. See you later.